I don't like Draymond Green. I never have over my 7 to 8 years of watching the NBA, and I really truly believe that I never will. And after his pathetic and awful Game 3 performance last night, Game 3 of the finals versus the Celtics, he put up 2 points, he had 5 fouls, he just overall played pretty horribly, got into another scrum with Jaylen Brown, letting his emotions get the best of him sometimes. And honestly, on social media, we've seen a lot of Draymond Green slander, and part of me, honestly, is kind of digging the Draymond Green slander right now because of how I don't like him. But part of me, it also doesn't sit right that Draymond's getting this slander. And while Draymond's always been a player that people like myself and many other NBA fans don't like, the truth about Draymond Green is that he is a winner. And I never thought that I would be backing up Draymond Green, let alone doing it on my channel and expressing myself to other users on YouTube, saying and backing up Draymond Green and saying that he's a winner. But that is what I am going to be doing in today's video. We all know the impact that Draymond brings to the Warriors and what kind of a player he is on both ends of the floor, but I feel like a lot of NBA fans, and especially the casual ones, kind of need a reminder of that. So that's what I'm going to be providing in today's video, along with some other interesting stuff about Draymond. With that being said, let's get into it. So I think a lot of us definitely know and understand the main reasons why Draymond is such a hated player across the league. It's so valid to dislike a player like Draymond, and that's definitely not my point of today's video. I'm not saying you have to enjoy watching a player like Draymond play, because I don't. He's one of my least favorite players in the league. I'm just saying he deserves respect, but there's a lot of different reasons, and one of them is when we talk about his actual game, like his basketball game in general and how he plays, he's definitely not an entertaining player to watch a lot of the time. He doesn't really score the basketball a lot of the time, and I mean, especially for more casual fans, it can be tough to like a player who only averages 7.5 points in the regular season and 8 in the NBA playoffs. Sometimes his inability to score the ball too can hurt the Warriors a little bit. I mean, most of his impact is good on both ends of the floor, and I'll get into that soon. But even myself, I've ranked Draymond a lot lower than some other people in specific rankings before, because I think that a lot of the time his big inability to score is hurting the Warriors at times, and he would just rank so much higher if he could, if he did have that aspect to his game. He can be left wide open from 3. He shoots below 30% from 3, and he's not exactly the most fun player to watch. And then other reasons why people hate Draymond are really the obvious ones here, about how he can be very just annoying on the court sometimes, and this one's kind of hard to explain and put into words, but if I give an example of, for example, in Game 2 of the finals this year and yesterday in Game 3 with Jaylen Brown, we talk about Game 2 first. There's that little scuffle where Draymond fouls Jaylen Brown on a 3-point shot, then goes down on the floor with his legs literally on top of Jaylen Brown, almost on top of his face, and then when Jaylen Brown moves his legs off of his face like any reasonable human being would do, Draymond gets up and starts talking his stuff. He's saying, "Don't do that, don't do that." That's what you could say when you that's what you could see when you read his lips, and it's just like what are you doing? Like, no one ever does that. Like, the scuffles that he gets into sometimes are just so annoying. This makes him such like a hated player. And then at one point in that scuffle, he tried to tug on Jaylen Brown's shorts. And then in Game 3, there's another one of these situations where it's just so easy to see Draymond as the bad guy, and a lot of the time he really is. You see a lot of the time too how he's making some dirty type of plays. We saw this in the second round of the playoffs with Brandon Clark, where he made a very dirty play when he was up in the middle of the air tugging on his jersey to bring him down. That situations like that can end very badly, and sometimes Draymond wanting to win and being so competitive can certainly be a bad thing in situations like this where his emotions are getting the best of him. And that leads me to my other point about how he a lot of the time can't keep his emotions in check. He's always had problems with technical fouls, getting in trouble with the refs, and also a lot of the time something that bothers me about Draymond, and especially when my Raptors were playing the Warriors in the 2019 finals, something that bothered me is how sometimes it's quite apparent how the refs are on the side of the Golden State Warriors, but every little call that doesn't go the Warriors' way, Draymond's always arguing with the refs, and I think some players that do argue a lot with the refs sometimes have reasons to, but a lot of the time Draymond doesn't, and that really gets on my nerves as well. So there you go. I've ranted now for about 4 minutes on why Draymond is such a hated player and why I hate him. But now it's time to get into the good parts for the Warriors fans out there watching this video, and the Draymond fans out there, if that even exists, that are watching this video, because Draymond, in the end of the day, he is a very much a winning basketball player, and that's what I'm going to be proving in the next little bit of this video. On the offensive side of the floor, Draymond goes out there and does exactly what his role is and exactly what he's asked to do, and especially for me, this is something that I really expect from a lot of role players across really all of the NBA, is going out there and not really having a huge ego and just doing what they're expected to do. And when it comes to the ego part, I don't know if that's necessarily true overall for Draymond, but on the court, when he's on and he's locked in on playing his role offensively, it definitely is true, because he just does exactly what he's asked to do. And while he doesn't score a lot like I was talking about earlier and can't shoot the three, which is, with that aspect in the game, would be so much easier for the Warriors to be an incredibly dominant offense. But even without that, he does such a good job offensively of really being kind of at times the offensive anchor for the Warriors. A lot of the plays run through him. Whenever the Warriors are struggling, they can go to some pick and roll action with Draymond or pick and pop action with Draymond. And again, he's not a big threat as a scorer, but when he is in his action, setting those screens, making the passes, making critical passes at times to cutters and guys like the shooters like Steph and Clay, and now guys like Wiggins and Poole that are going back out to the three-point line after cutting around for a little bit, finding some space. Draymond does a really good job of making the right pass at the right time, does a really good job with handoffs, sometimes fake handoffs, and screening to allow guys to get open on the ball or off the ball. And really, just overall, Draymond's playmaking ability has so much impact on the Warriors. If you watch their offense flow really over the last 7 years, ever since that dominant 2015 season, you can see that the guys like Steph and Clay, who have become legendary because of their runs with the Golden State Warriors, these guys are not having the same shooting numbers and the same impact that they've had on really the game of basketball without the amazing playmaking and help of Draymond Green. He is the guy that sets the screens for them. He's the guy that makes those passes to find them a lot of the time, and over the whole course of his career, he's done a fantastic job of playing that role and sticking to it and knowing what he's supposed to do on the offensive side of the floor. When we take a look at this year specifically, in the 2021 and 22 season, Draymond averaged 7 assists per game in the regular season, an assist to turnover ratio of 2.32 to 1, which is very impressive considering a lot of the time Draymond's making some tough passes into traffic and has to make critical decisions. So the fact that he's not very turnover prone as well and has a good assist to turnover ratio is quite impressive as well. And then to show his screening ability, he averaged about 2.5 screen assists per game in the regular season this year, resulting in about 6.5 screen assist points per game. And this still doesn't show his full impact. A lot of the time he's setting off-ball screens that don't end up counting in as screen assists because they don't end up in buckets. But overall, Draymond's playmaking ability is shown a little bit with these stats, and then you really just have to have that eye test and watch games to see the rest of his impact, because he really is a very impactful playmaker and allows this Warriors offense to function and run very well. And then of course we have to talk about Draymond's defense, because really over the last decade he's been one of, if not the best and most consistent defender in the NBA. What he does on the defensive side of the floor is really incredible. He does so many things well. If I were to list all of them, I'd be going on all day. But overall, he's really the defensive anchor and the defensive leader for the Warriors, both on the court, vocally, off the court, vocally, and also how he leads by example and just plays incredible defense no matter who he's guarding. And he's one of those rare players in the NBA who can really truly guard 1 through 5. A lot of guys we say can guard 1 through 5, point guard through center, but they don't really do a fantastic job of that. Draymond can clamp up at any position on ball, especially 1 through 4. If he has a really tall center against him, sometimes he's going to struggle with that, and we've seen this in the series with the Boston Celtics as well, against guys like Robert Williams and Al Horford, who can body him a little bit, grab rebounds over him, but for the most part, he can guard the 5 position well as well. He's a great post defender, a great off-ball defender, overall can guard on the ball 1 through 5 really well, and then just does a fantastic job off ball as well on rotations, communication, and really not only just being an amazing defender himself, but making everyone around him on the court a better defender as well. And when we look at some stats for, again, this season specifically, in the regular season, Draymond had a defended field goal percentage of about 40.5%, where league average right now is around 46 to 47%, so that's really an incredible stat there. And then in the playoffs, where he's going against even better competition, he has a 38.5% defended field goal percentage throughout this year's playoffs, which is just incredible. Really, truly one of the best, if not the best defender in the league still, and he's at the latter part of his career too. What he does on the defensive side of the floor overall is so impactful for the Warriors, and has been for a really long time, and he gets a lot of credit for this, but I think he might even deserve a little bit more credit than what he's getting. Overall, Draymond's impact towards the Warriors in general can really be shown through this one stat, and it's interesting because on the court, his impact can only really be truly shown through actually watching him play basketball on both ends of the floor and not through stats. But the biggest stat that I really like to use in this situation to truly show Draymond's impact is all-time the Warriors record with and without him. All time in NBA history, the Golden State Warriors have a 470 and 215 record when Draymond Green is playing. That's absolutely incredible. They're really one of, if not the best team in NBA history when Draymond is on the floor for them. They have a 68.6% winning percentage, meaning they're winning more than 2 out of 3 of the games that they're playing. Without Draymond Green, they are literally an average middle-of-the-pack team. They're only 57 and 51 for below a 53% winning percentage without Draymond Green all time. I mean, I don't really think I have to say anything else. That right there showed Draymond's impact. When he has one bad game in the NBA Finals, I'm liking the slander that he's getting, but at the same time, we should maybe chill out a little bit because of just how much of a winner he still really is. Once again, I do not like Draymond Green, and I never will. I'm sure many of you watching this video are the same way. He's really not a fun player to watch. He's very annoying, he makes some dirty plays, and gets his temper in the way a lot of the time, but whether you like it or not, he is a winner, and he should be respected for that. So there you have it. That's all I've got for you guys in today's video. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel and comment down below your thoughts and your opinions on Draymond Green, and I'll see you all next video.